So, as I said in the intro, we are big data junkies and we love the reports that we can find in HubSpot. HubSpot's not the only tool we use. We typically use HubSpot in conjunction with Google Analytics, but we can talk about that on another day. Uh, right now, what we want to do is take a look at what information we look at in HubSpot. And we always start in HubSpot at the sources report. Right now, I'm taking a look at a 6-month time frame in 2017. You can expand this time frame to be anything depending on what your goals and objectives are. Right now, I want to see the performance of the site over the past 6 months. And the very first thing you get is this visual representation that nicely shows you if traffic's heading in the right direction. Are you seeing increases or decreases? And you can see that through the summer, we had relatively stable traffic, increased in August. We had a couple of programs going on then, came back down in September, but then significant increases in October and November, settling back down in December, which we would typically expect to see in a business-to-business website. So when we are looking at traffic patterns for B2B, one of the patterns we typically expect to see is a dip in the summer and a dip in that November-December timeframe. You'll know your patterns if you compare a couple of years. So take a look at 2016 to 2017. See if you're seeing similar patterns in the analytics that are there. This is a great quick visual representation of what's working. You can click on show visit to contact rate, and that adds a line that lets you know of all of these visits, who's converting on your website. And converting for HubSpot means who's filling out a website form that you have on a page. And we're noticing that line's pretty steady. I'm going to actually scroll down here, though, to take a look at the numbers. And this is where we really get an opportunity to see that the balance of traffic, organic traffic is our highest source in the past 6 months, significantly outpacing any other source of traffic. And for those of you that are not clear, organic traffic means that somebody went into a search engine and typed something into a search bar. That something could have been the company name, it could have been a question, could have been a keyword. They typed something into the search bar. Compared to direct traffic is somebody just went in and typed the URL directly into the top navigation bar. So those are the differences between the two sources of traffic. We typically look for organic traffic outpacing direct. Sometimes when you see direct traffic really high, you want to take a look and see if there's a login on the homepage. Oftentimes when we find that customers have a homepage login, then they're driving a lot of direct traffic because people are going to the site, logging into their portal. If there is no login and direct traffic is outpacing organic, then it probably means the site's not well optimized and the company is not being found for problems and solutions that people are searching on. Now, each one of these sources you can drill down into to understand a little bit more. And here we have the opportunity to see what are people typing into a search bar. And you can see that it's a mixture of company name, questions, and keyword phrases. So we are getting found for a mixture of items. But let me point this out because it's probably one of the biggest questions we get. Why is this bucket, the biggest number of searches, actually in unknown keywords? This is not a HubSpot problem. If you go into your Google Analytics, you'll also find that this is the case. Essentially, a few years ago, Google made an announcement that when people are searching in order to protect privacy, they would not show what phrases people were putting into search. It's not 100% the case because if you enable Google Webmaster Tools, Google Search Console, used to be called Webmaster Tools, then you can find out what phrases your site is coming up for, what you rank for, and what phrases people are clicking on to get to your site. So this hidden bucket can be uncovered using Google Search Console. Let's kind of bounce back here to the total sources. The other thing we want to take a look at as we're looking at let me just explain these traffic sources. Referrals mean that there's a link on someone else's site that's driving traffic to your site. Again, I can drill down in here and I can see where are people coming from, what links are people clicking. Social media is traffic coming from social media. So these become pretty self-explanatory after organic, direct, and referrals. And what you want to look for, you're not looking only at your total traffic volume, which is very important. Do you have enough traffic to really generate the kind of leads and contacts you want? You also want to look at your conversion percent. Little bit lower than we'd like to see. We had a big uptick in traffic that we need to understand in October and November, which could be swaying these numbers. Ideally, we'd like to see these numbers closer to 2%. 1% is the absolute minimum. So as you're looking at various traffic sources, here's an example. We'll want to take a look at what we're doing on social media, try to drive that conversion percentage. Again, a conversion indicating that someone filled out a form. Get that up into the 1% range. Get this one's email marketing conversions are a little tricky because the only reason you should be emailing people is they're already in your database and have converted. So I don't worry about that one so much, but definitely would like to see some of these other sources really increasing in traffic. So some nice numbers. And if you take your total traffic, if you're wondering if you have enough traffic, take your total traffic and multiply that by 2% and see what number you get. Compare it to what number you're actually converting for leads off of your website. And it'll give you a sense of what you should be able to achieve with your inbound marketing. After looking overall at sources, we also like to then take a look at landing pages, because when we talk about conversions, traffic is your baseline. Is it strong enough to give you the number of folks that you want to be able to market to? Conversions, we're seeing overall conversions, but conversions are really happening on landing pages. So you can come into your landing pages and click Analyze. Again, you can choose your time period. Let's see, let's make it a custom time period. So we're looking at the same 6-month time period that we were looking at before. Bring this over to June and the end of December. Okay. What we're looking for here is we want to see, this is currently sorted based on submissions. Let me change the sort so we see the highest viewed pages. You want to quickly run down here, and a base minimum to let you know if you have a healthy landing page is your landing page converting at 20%? So are 20% of the visitors on the landing page filling out the form? When you have these landing pages that are a little bit lower, you want to take a few minutes, take a look at them. What's different about these 2 pages compared to these 3, which are converting at well over 20%? Is the form longer? Is there an image on these pages that are converting but not on this one? Is the message shorter? Really kind of analyze what's happening on these particular pages that's leading to such a high conversion versus on these pages which are not quite at that 20% level. Make some tweaks and some changes. If you're using HubSpot, you have A/B testing available to you, so you can run 2 pages at the same time and see which one performs better. So look at here, what pages have, what does the submission rate look like? But then you want to take a look at, do you have pages that are performing really well? Like this particular page here, 46% conversion, but compared to the other pages, has a low number of views. So when you see a page that's working very well for you, but without a strong number of views, think about how you can promote that page. Promote it by writing additional blog posts that have call to actions that link to it. Put it in social media more often. Maybe do some additional email marketing so that you can, since you know the page works and people will convert once they get there, let's look at how we can drive up views so we can improve the total number of contacts in the database. And you can really drill down into many other analytics. You can look at your social analytics, your blogging analytics. But for right now, the next one we're going to take a look at is just the performance of our call to action buttons, and then we'll call it a day. The call to action buttons are visual or verbal buttons that can be found throughout your website. I'm going to change my date range here so it's reflective of everything else we've been looking at. Bring this to June through the end of December. Okay. And I will again sort this by views. So a couple of things you want to look for here. We have this call to action that says download our latest ebook now. It's getting high views. Chances are this is sitting on the home page somewhere. You can actually see that this is on 100 different pages. Getting a 0.6% click-through rate, not as high as we'd like to see, but not terrible. However, if I follow that click-through rate then to the number of submissions, this is definitely something we want to take a look at. Why are we getting so many people clicking through but not actually completing the process? Is there a disconnect between the message in the call to action button and the page that they actually land on? Then if I look here, here's a CTA that's getting low numbers, really high click-through, no conversion, whereas the A/B test of this is actually performing. This one says request a consultation. This one says see what other PMG clients are doing. Chances are these two items are leading to the same page, and we can already tell based on how often these call to action buttons have been seen. This one's been seen much more than the one called Rural Customer. It's not performing as well, but we probably should give this a little more time to get a few more views before we make any changes. So those are the kinds of things you're looking at in call to action buttons. And we'll take a look at some of the other analytics in another post.